In Vegas, yeah, you run across, everybody's there to have the craziest time.
Yes.
Right? Everybody's there to have, bonkers times. And I'm sure, and there's tons of like prostitution, sex work, girls who are just partying for money. I mean, there's everything there.
The prostitution in Vegas is just off the meter.
Is it?
A lot of people think that it's legal in Vegas. It's not legal in Vegas. It's legal a little bit north in Nye County. You can go to there's a chicken ranch and there's other places that people can go. But in Vegas, it's illegal. It's a misdemeanor, but it's still illegal. But inside the clubs, inside the casinos, I mean, there's tons of girls who are working. And most of them, not most of them, a lot of them work for pimps.
Oh, they do?
A lot of them do.
What's that kind of connection? Would you see that sometimes? Like, does the pimp come and drop them off? Does the pimp does he like Uber pool them or whatever? Like, how do they get the women down to the strip or whatever? Is the pimp down there?
So there's a thing. Well, pimps a lot of times, from a pimp perspective, they have a stable of women, and they'll go from place to place to place. Like they'll go to Miami and bring their girls to Miami to work. They'll bring their girls to, New York or Vegas or whatever. And and these girls are called, I don't like the terminology, but they're called carpet holes or holes that actually work inside of casinos. And they'll walk inside the casino on the carpet, and they'll go make their money, come back and give it to the pimp. Then you have the lower level prostitutes, which are the ones that work the tracks. And a track is a place where it's known for prostitution. And Vegas and every other major city has tracks. And lower level pimps will drop their girls off on the tracks, and then they'll walk the track and make their money. Then you have the ones that are the call girls who work out of the books, and they're the most high level females that a person can interact with.
The people who drops them off at the tracks, what kind of vehicles do pimps drive? Do they still drive like these crazy classy cars? Do they drive a van? Like,
so I'm retired, so now it may have changed, but I can tell you that in the time when I was working, their cars stood out. It wasn't like the 1970s pimp mobile type vehicles, but you would see the nicer, Escalades or whatever types of vehicles. But we would know, because I mean, if you're on a Boulder Highway, which is a really, really kind of seedy area, especially where the track is, by 5 Points.
Boulder Highway, it's called?
It's called Boulder Highway 5 Points, yeah. Because 5 points of the city intersect at that location, and that's a track. It's still a track.
Okay, let's see that, Boulder Highway 5 Points.
Yeah, because sometimes if I go, I'll drive just to see what places are still popping.
Yeah, sure, brother.
And
a lot of the pimps, are they, what types of guys are they? Black men? Are they Asian men?
Black men.
It is.
Black males are mostly pimps.
So that's more, it's a black
that I am interacting. Yes.
Right. It's a black culture thing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It is. You didn't know that?
I've thought that, because the pimps that I've met, I've only maybe met 3 pimps, but 2.5 of them, or one of them was mixed, but 2 of them were full, or potentially full black.
But even in rap culture, you can hear people talk about pimp culture.
Oh yeah.
It's very clear that that's a subculture of.
I just didn't know if it was also Chinese or Russian type of thing. Do you see a lot of that Vietnamese stuff?
No, not in my career. I didn't see that. But in New York, I know that the Russians have a lock on a lot of different vices in New York. That didn't really translate into Vegas as much. Yeah.
At a certain point, do you let the women trick? Do you let them do whatever they got to do out there? Like, I mean, what do you just want to make sure they're safe? At a certain point, if the crime is going to go on, right? If it's a kind of a fluid crime that happens regularly, is there more of a idea like, okay, we just want this to happen safely, or is it more of an idea of like, we want to stop this?
So it's a very good question. So there's only so much you could do, right? So the primary responsibility for a patrol officer is to respond to calls for service. So I'm going to speak to when I was a patrol officer.
Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about prostitution.
Right, for prostitution. Yeah. So, I mean, you see 2 or 3 prostitutes walking up and down the street. I mean, you can only stop one. But most of the time, they would, if they saw the patrol car, they would just keep walking. And if I hung out in the area long enough, they would realize that no trick is going to stop and pick them up. So you could affect it like that, but then you get a call for service, and then you got to leave, and then they're going to be back doing exactly what they want to do. Was it a crime that I was really super concerned about? No, it wasn't. But it looks bad when I'm part of the responsible party of keeping that area safe. And if you have a prostitution situation going on, either something else is going to occur, connected to that. There's
Right.
either she's going to get beat up or she's going to steal his money. A lot of times they would do that to guys. If they felt like they could take their money because they weren't, the guy wouldn't report it to the police. That would happen for for people who wanted to buy drugs too. You would get these kids from the Midwest to come there, or they're in Vegas. Okay, we go down on Fremont. Let's go buy some whatever they want to buy. I'm going to fill in the blank of whatever drug it could be. And they would just rob them. They would give them whatever, and they'd say, "Go, call the police if you." And then what are they going to do? They're not going to call the police. And then you got all of this crap going on, and it looks bad. It's like, why are tax dollars paying for the police if we're not going to keep the area clear? So I think to answer your question, what I would do mostly is I would leave the prostitutes alone, with the exception of interacting with them to say, "Hey, it's time to clear out."
When you first started out in Vegas, what are some things that you saw?
So
anything that stands out,
So from a crime perspective, or from just the culture of policing perspective?
Let's start with the crime perspective.
So from the crime perspective, drugs are one of the most, drugs and alcohol, okay? Because drugs and alcohol kind of run hand in hand when it comes to the challenges that I would run into. The drug scene in Vegas was either it was crack or it was speed. And like I said before, depending on the area command that you went. And I would go on Fremont, because I worked Fremont primarily the first part of my career, and I'd see these young girls hooked on crack, prostituting on Fremont Street. Then you would see guys who came into town to party in Vegas. They, gamble at the casinos downtown, and then they want to come and pick up these girls. They get trick rolled. It's just this like incredible web of vice that occurred, and it was like Gotham City.
And what's trick rolled? Is that thing where somebody sends you that video or whatever?
No, so trick rolled is when a girl, a prostitute, ends up getting you in a hotel room, either drugs you or steals your money and rolls you. So the guy's the trick, and they roll him for his money. And they do
like a
various
finesse
ways.
kind of.
Yeah, sometimes a finesse, sometimes it's with drugs. There are a lot of different ways that could potentially happen.
The act of a person commercially exchanging sex, robbing, or stealing from their sex buying client, known as a trick. Got it. I got it. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was something at a sushi joint too. I'm like, damn, that shit, I like it. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, just make sure you cook it first. Like, would you bust into some like wild parties? Like, would you bust in and people have been up for days? Would you bust in and people were so bummed that you were ruining the party? That ever happened?
The thing was not so necessarily bummed. It was that the people felt like it was in Vegas, like, come on, cop, we should be able to do this. Why are you, bothering us right now? Like, they wouldn't even be mad. It was almost like a joke, or people who wouldn't want to try to pay you off or stuff like that. But the funny thing is that when I was talking about the girls doing the trick rolls and stuff like, and everything, these people were a lot of times close to my age. So I would see these, do you know there's the guy's name is, he was a famous poker player. I can't remember his name. I pulled him over one time, and he was completely cracked out of it. He's dead now, so it's not me.
He was driving?
He was in the passenger seat.
Stu
Unger? Yeah, Stu Unger. I pulled Stu over. He was in the passenger side of a car. The driver was this dude who I knew was a dealer, completely cracked out of his mind. And Stu tried to play me as I was standing at the passenger side of the car to try to get me to let him go, knowing that the car was full of all kinds of stuff. Now, in Vegas, I can tell you that without telling you that on both hands, I've run into easily 5 to 10 A-list people involved in very, very compromising situations. And I know that happens in LA, but the Vegas stuff is really super seedy. It's almost always some kind of sex, prostitute, drug type thing. And I was like 21, 22 years old, and I was interacting with people who I had no idea that I would be interacting with them on that type of level.
Like, were there times you get called to hotel rooms? Like, I'm just trying to think of, like, take me on like a specific call if you can. I'm not saying name celebrities. I don't need that, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, take me on like a call where things are like, I'm just kind of curious as to the level of, like, just the things you would see, because it's Vegas, like, it's the craziest place on earth.
So here's a story, and it's a sad story.
And sorry, do I sound demanding about that?
No, not at all. I'm
okay,
good.
Sorry.
That's kind of why I came, right?
My hearing is kind of sensitive today, too. Yeah, I don't know why. I think I'm just tired, but.
So working downtown, I got a call once.
So you guys walk the beat down there? What do you guys have vehicles down?
That's one of the things. You don't really walk as much as in Vegas. You know, everyone really drives a car. And I could talk about that a little bit later because I think foot patrol is kind of important. But I remember one time going to, there was this movie theater called the Flick Movie Theater. It was right on Fremont Street. And I remember going in and going to a hotel, they would comp us our dinner. So we get a comp and go eat dinner at one of the hotels. I remember meeting the security guard. He gave me a comp. I went, ate dinner. And then I got out. You're talking about foot patrol. I got out to walk my food off about an hour or so later. And I go in the Flick Motel. And it was one of those kind of triple X kind of movie theater. And the same security guard that gave me the comp was getting a blowjob from a young guy in one of the back seats in his uniform.
Wow. Comp and dinner, huh? Hey, so he's just sitting in the back getting a blowjob?
He was sitting in the back.
And what do you do? Do you go in there? Are you wearing like a shades and are you hiding in the distance? What are you doing?
No. So I hated having to do that because I was a rookie at the time, and like you walk in there and your boots are like sticky because you know all the kind of disgust.
Which is kind of gross. If I don't clean the place up, there it is right there.
Oh, the Flick. You can still see that Flick. Yep.
And were there live sex shows in there?
No, they weren't. There was a movie theater, but they would want the rookies to walk through it so that stuff like that wouldn't happen.
Right.
But what was weird was that this guy felt he was comfortable enough to go in his uniform and get a blowjob, you know, in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Like not even take his uniform off and go inside. And that was like that Wild West mentality of Vegas. On that same street, maybe a couple of weeks later, and this would happen frequently, I got a call of a person not answering their door at their hotel room. Go up to the hotel room, security with the passkey.
Wow, it's
opens
scary.
the door. They open the door. This dude was butt naked on the bed, completely bloated. He was, we say 419, which is the code for a dead body, completely dead. I think rigor he might have started turning purple if I recall, but he was definitely dead. And he had a picture of his family on the nightstand. So fast forward to the end of what happened was this guy came to Vegas on a conference or something like that. He has a beautiful family, picks up a hooker, tries to have sex with her, heart pops, and he dies. She leaves him, and she leaves with all of his stuff. And then that's the legacy that he leaves for his family. And it was almost like it was movie-like because on the nightstand, the guy carried a picture of his family and put it on the nightstand. And then I can see his dead fat body, his little sticking out, and he's on and his kids with his wife picture is right there. Wow. And you think about that kind of stuff. Like, see, when we talk about this police thing, I think that death is the recurring theme, and it gets scary, like because you see so much. Like, I would look at a dead body and I'd be like, did that guy realize that was the last time he was going to put on those underwear? Right. Was that the last time that he realized that he was going to do that?
Brush his teeth, put lotion on his limbs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's yeah. Sometimes I think like I have like a moment each day, kind of where it's like. Sometimes it is kind of putting on your socks. You're like, what if this is the last day? You know, I think because that's one of the moments you're kind of suiting up for the day. I'll have moments like that. You hear a lot about child trafficking. You hear a lot about trafficking. That is a buzzword right now for sure. Did you see a ton of that kind of stuff? Or is some of that, because I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I know that there's a lot of things like that. But is there a lot... Is some of that just heightened? Because we hear about it every single day now. Did you see a lot of that sort of thing, or what do you see?
So, okay, what define child from your definition of child?
That's a great question. So I guess you would think of, right, did you see a lot of pedophilia, or did you see like more like people just trafficking, like prostitution type of that being run by pimps? Like, what did you see kind of like, what kind of...
Those things were kind of separate, right? The pedophilia, you'd see like familial stuff like that, or you would see like that guy that had the pictures inside the room. It wasn't a person running, females. One time I was actually with the Cops TV show, and for this, in this episode they couldn't air because we drove into the desert because a vagrant had found a campsite, and there was a person who was living there, and this guy, and I'm going to assume it was a guy because we never caught him, but all of these pornographic magazines. And this is scary, man. He cut little kids' faces out of other regular magazines and pasted the little kids' faces on all these explicit magazines. So this is the type of person you think would be like a serial, like kidnapper, rape, like whatever.
Yeah.
And the cops didn't end up airing it, and I'm sure why, because it was incredibly graphic and creatively weird and disgusting at the same time. And we never ever caught the guy. Never caught him.
What was the campsite like?
It was just a disgusting campsite in the desert area. Because Vegas has a lot of desert areas. So especially if you go like to the northwest area, for sure. And vagrants kind of hang out there, kind of a little near Nellis Air Force Base.
Like jugs of pee, stuff like that, like just like stuff like food stuff sitting around. It's like somebody just
exactly like that. Old cans, beer bottles, soda bottles. Wow. There was like a sleeping bag and stuff like that.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like as far as like a perverted type of thing you see, and it's kind of crazy. Like it's crazy what happens mentally to people that becomes something for them. Like what sickness happens inside of them, and a lot of that you hear too is cyclical, I think, right?
Yeah, it is. And that's one of the things that so that the one that was molested ends up molesting.
Yeah, is that true? Let's look up what percentage of people that get molested end up becoming molesters. And I don't know if that's the right terminology, but you always hear that. So let me see if I can get a little bit of information with that right now. Trevin, if you have something. I just wonder if that's fact or fiction.
I think it would probably be significant.
There is widespread belief in a cycle of child sexual abuse, but little empirical evidence for this belief. The aims were to identify perpetrators of such abuse who had been victims of pedophilia and or incest in order to ascertain whether subjects who had been victims become perpetrators. The results among 747 males, the risk of becoming a perpetrator was positively correlated with reported sexual abuse victim experiences. The overall rate of having been a victim was 35% for perpetrators and 11% for non-perpetrators. Of the 96 females, 43% had been victims, but only one was a perpetrator. A high percentage of male subjects abused in childhood by a female relative became perpetrators. That's interesting. Having been a victim was a strong predictor of becoming a perpetrator, as was an index of parental loss in childhood. Wow. Mm-hmm. The data supports the notion of a victim-to-victim cycle in a minority of male perpetrators, but not among the female victims studied. That's interesting that some of them also, having become a victim of strong, an index of parental loss, that sometimes you do that if you lost a parent.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't even know why that would happen.
Did prostitutes offer cop stuff a lot? Does that happen or no?
Yeah, there were some cops that have gotten in trouble for getting some of the, prostitution stuff on the side. And that's another thing is that, you ever heard the term badge bunnies? Mm-mm. So it's not just prostitutes. It's just a lot of times women in general would offer police,
sex or sexual activities.
Activities.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the chicks over by, we had a Foot Locker by us. A lot of chicks over there was always trying to slurp on the cops or whatever.
Yeah, my one of my TAC officers, the guys who teach you when you're in academy, said, this badge will get you a whole bunch of coochie, but one coochie will take that badge away.
Damn.
And it's true.
And with a lot of officers still like, whatever, this is part of my...
I had a cop one time. This dude was super squared away. I mean, tall, good looking. I mean, straight out of Central Casting. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely not going to say his name. I had a ton of respect for this guy.
For sure.
In fact, I think he was good enough to almost play professional baseball, if I recall. I was his boss at the time, and he goes on a call, and this girl, he was supposed to take a burglary report, if I recall, and he ends up hooking up with the girl, and realizes that he screwed up, and the girl is, I guess, having feelings for him, and so like how. He ends up going and putting like a hoodie on and going and trying to buy the morning after pill at a convenience store or whatever, or CVS, wherever you can buy the morning after pill. And he had called me and said, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can I get off early? And this guy was so sharp. I was like, yeah, go ahead, go home. And he tells the girl he wants her to take the morning after pill. And then she ends up
calling the police.
And then it turned and he lost his job over it. And then there's a video of him. This is like a married guy with a hoodie on going in and buying the morning after pill. And it was that temptation. Story involving me. I went on a call, it was a loud music call, and it was all these girls that came in drunk from a party. All really hot girls, and it was like three of us on the call, and we told them to turn the music down. And this beautiful girl looks at me and she says, and they're like, oh, she got her navel pierced. And I was like, oh, cool. And she goes like this. She goes, look, and pulled her dress up, no panties on, and showed me her navel piercing.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff happens.
And what do you do?
I'm just kidding. Of course,
Can you look or not?
Yeah, of course. I mean, she was standing right there. I wasn't, I just said, no, we're going to leave. You got to be professional and you got to go. But you're going to get that kind of stuff all the time. I mean, there was a time, you write people tickets, they track you down and you want to, meet up or connect or whatever. There are people who just have a thing for police.
Is it hard to say no to that type of thing now at some points?
No, because you get off shift. I mean, you get off shift and you can, meet the person after. You don't have to try to do it on duty.
Oh, so you could still do it at off duty.
It depends on what kind of situation it is. There were guys, now there are cops who have banged the white, stories happened more than once where a cop arrests the husband for domestic violence and hooks up with the wife.
No.
That's happened more than once.
What's that called? Is there
a felony? I mean, a bad business. I mean, it's really bad business. I mean,
damn, I was wondering if there's a term for that.
Yeah, it's bad. It's a very, very bad thing.